Hello, my name's Ben Wagner from Lead the Key Home Buyers. And today I just wanted to talk a little bit about a question we get a lot from people that are new to the real estate industry, that are looking to wholesale or seek out deals for investors to buy like ourselves. A lot of the information that's out there on YouTube, what you get from other courses and that sort of thing, doesn't really apply in New York. New York operates a bit different from most other states in the country. So I just want to outline some of the differences about being a bird dog or wholesaler in New York versus in other states. So first of all, I just want to outline some terms. So a bird dog is really someone who's out there finding deals. They're going out there, they're either driving for dollars and looking for distressed properties around the neighborhood. Maybe they're looking for properties that are listed on the MLS or Craigslist or through other means. But they're basically trying to find people and sellers who may be motivated to sell. And they bring those leads, really is what they are. They bring them to investors like myself, and we work on closing that deal, work on the negotiation with the seller, ultimately close on the property, and the bird dog receives a commission for the lead that they sent our way. A wholesaler is a bit different. A wholesaler is taking that process a lot further. So the wholesaler will typically find their own leads or work with their own bird dogs. But once they have that lead, the wholesaler is the one who is meeting with the seller, evaluating the property, making the offers, negotiating with the seller, and ultimately going into contract with the seller. Once the wholesaler is in contract, what they look to do is assign the contract to an investor or cash buyer like us. The wholesaler then at the closing receives their assignment fee, which basically acts as their commission for finding, negotiating, and sourcing that deal. So really the key difference between a bird dog and wholesaler is how far they're taking that process. And ultimately, in the wholesale model, they're taking that process to the point where they actually go under contract with the seller. And this is where a lot of the confusion comes in with the wholesalers or bird dogs that contact us. Because going under contract in New York is a very different process from what you'll find taught by others. In other states, it's typical to bring a paper contract to a seller appointment, sign the contract on the spot, and you give a $100 deposit, maybe, and you're in contract. So it's a very quick process to get into contract, and when you're in contract, you then typically in other states have an inspection contingency. So the wholesaler has an out. In New York, it's very different. New York's an attorney state, and the seller's attorney is the one who actually drafts the contract. So if you're face to face with a seller, you agree on a price and terms. The next step is then to have the seller's attorney work up a contract, send it to your attorney, you sign it, send it back to your attorney sends it to the seller's attorney sends it to their client, and the seller signs, and then you get fully executed copies from your respective attorneys. But that whole process typically takes days to a couple weeks. There's typically some back and forth negotiations between the attorneys on some details. Also in New York, it's typical to have a much more significant down payment than $100 or $20 or something like that you see in other states. So for those reasons, wholesaling's quite a bit different in terms of getting into contract. The other thing that's different about New York is the inspection contingency I referenced. So in other states, if the wholesaler can't find a buyer for their property, they can ultimately back out of the contract without even losing their very small $100 deposit. In New York, the inspection happens before the contracts are written. So therefore, once you're in contract, you're bound to close or lose your deposit. So whatever money you put up on that deposit, you need to be willing to either guarantee you're going to find a buyer or guarantee you're going to close on it or be willing to walk away from your deposit. So all these things I mentioned really make wholesaling a lot less attractive in New York than in other states. Some of the questions we get a lot from people who are new to wholesaling are about, can you recommend a investor-friendly title company? Or can you recommend an investor-friendly attorney? Or can you give me a copy of the contract that you use? I just want to explain that all those things really aren't relevant in New York. you do need an attorney, and ideally you want an investor-friendly attorney, and we can recommend someone for you if you're interested in that. But you don't need to come to the table with a contract because the seller's attorney is the one writing the contract. And in New York, the attorney manages the closing process rather than the title company. So you don't need to look for an investor-friendly title company in New York. That being said, we work with bird dogs and wholesalers that take deals to different levels of the process. Like I said, some people will just hand us over leads and we'll pay a referral fee if we end up closing a deal from one of those leads. Other people like to qualify the leads, do maybe some preliminary negotiation, maybe bring us in to close and add some credibility to their offer. And other people, the wholesalers, will go as far as actually locking up the deal into contract. Once they're in contract, they'll come to us and look for a buyer. I just want to outline some of the expectations we have when a new bird dog or wholesaler comes to us. Because we get a lot of people who come to us and say, oh, I saw this property on Zillow, or I saw this property on MLS, and it's listed for $300. Will you pay me $330 for it? And first of all, we've seen these properties listed. Lots of times they've been listed for months. So what we're really looking for someone in that situation to bring to the table is what I'll call some, inside information. Maybe the property has tenants in it, which is one of the reasons it's not selling. But maybe you know that the tenants are willing to leave for $5,000 cash for keys. Or maybe you know something about some zoning change, or that a lot may be subdividable, or something like that that's not publicly available on the listing. That's where you could really add value to us. The idea of just asking for a markup on an already listed property isn't really adding value, because we're reviewing these deals daily and we're looking for an edge. So basically, if you are going to bring us properties that are listed, really try to provide some additional value, some additional, I'll call inside information about the property that will help us be competitive when we make an offer and give us some additional insight that we may not have otherwise had. But that being said, I hope this was a little helpful to anyone who may be new to operating in New York. And feel free to give us a call. We're happy to help you out. And we'd love to see the deals we're looking to buy. Thank you.